morning, Councilwoman Naeem. Thank you for joining. And so now we have a quorum. Shall we record?
It's recording.
The
Thank
time
you.
is 10:07. 10:07.
10:07. Thank you. And so I will call the special meeting of the Policy Committee to order. And let me take attendance first. Councilwoman Ojala Naeem,
Present.
Councilman Michael Jefferson,
Present.
and myself, Edwin Shirley. That's 3 out of the 4 members, so we have a quorum. We also have our Executive Director, Jenny Ray Clay. We also have Christina Diamond with us. And who else do we have?
You have the chair.
Councilman Shirley, I'm present. Paulo Robertson.
Thank you. Chairman Robertson is here. Good to see you.
Pleasure as well.
And Jennifer Edwards of SCC
And-
staff.
And thank you. And Jennifer Edwards is here. Thank you. So the purpose of the meeting is to discuss the staff recommendations, which were sent to us by Attorney Matravy. And so shall we begin? Attorney Matravy, do you want to go over what the staff recommendations were?
Through you, Mr. Chair, thank you so much for allowing me to speak. Well, for the legislative update, I will transfer to Christina Diamond to
Okay.
go over the legislative update and provide the staff recommendation to this honorable committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Diamond?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So before we get into the hemp bill, I just wanted to give you a brief update. On Tuesday, the House passed an omnibus cannabis bill, and several changes were made to RERACA. And among the provisions in the bill that were included were the Social Equity Council's legislative recommendations. So updating the definition of control for social equity applicants as well as equity joint ventures. And the bill also modifies the criteria and procedure the council uses to identify disproportionately impacted areas. And I will be sending you a detailed analysis of the bill in my weekly legislative update that will go out tomorrow. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention this morning. And in regards to the hemp bill, as you mentioned, I did send out staff recommended changes. And we did this because, as you know, during the last few weeks of session, bills can move very quickly. And we believe the council should be ready with any proposed changes should the bill move forward. And as of right now, the House, it is not slated to be called in the House. But again, things change very quickly, and I just want to be sure that the council is prepared should the bill be called and go forward. So, Komla, I have the email. Do you want me to share my screen? Would it make sense for me to put up the recommended changes?
Yes, that's
Yes.
fine. You can do it.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I think one of the most important changes that I think should be included in any of our recommended changes is a delayed start for the hemp farmers to cultivate cannabis. We put out 2026. That's something that we can move on. But we do think that the delayed start date for the hemp farmers to cultivate cannabis is an important recommendation to be included in any recommendations. So I don't know if you want me to just read these off or people want to take it one by one and speak to any of the changes. When I share my screen, I can't see anyone asking questions. I don't know why I can't do that, so.
Okay, well, shall we, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, there are 5 of them. Why don't we go over them all and then we'll take them one by one? How's that?
Okay, that works. So staff proposes the following changes. As I said, the delayed start for the hemp farmers to cultivate cannabis, a 3 million licensure fee, just like the social equity cultivators had to pay for a provisional license. A limited number of hemp farmers allowed to cultivate cannabis, either no EJVs or limit to 1 EJV. And then the hemp farmers must have a social equity approved social equity plan and workforce development plan.
Okay, thank you for that. And so why don't we go back to the top then and talk about the delay. I see Chairman Robertson has his hand raised. Chairman Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as we are looking, first thing I'd like to get into is in terms of the hemp moving forward, I'd like to define a couple of things. So this would be, as Christina Diamond mentioned, and it hasn't moved in the House. This is, to be clear, if there is an alternate plan that would move forward. And then I would like to define, when we're saying the staff,
Okay,
who is inclusive of that? I mean, and are we saying the council, or are we saying the staff is recommending this, and who makes up the staff that is part of this?
Well, staff, the executive director, Komla, and myself, so Ginny, myself, and Komla, we met and had conversations. So these are recommended proposals that we're bringing to the council and then open for discussion. So if the council members have any other proposed changes that they'd like to put forward, that's great. And so we're really just here to open the conversation and get it started.
so right
Okay.
now, I'm sorry. Right now, then you're the staff is proposing to the policy committee that we make these recommendations to the full council. Is that the sequence of events? I'm just trying to understand.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think, yeah, the Christine answered the question, but our job is to provide you with a starting point. So conversation starters. Christina spends a lot of time at the legislative office building, meeting with various representatives and their team and discussing the bills. And so we come back and we huddle and we just put together information that is a starting point for the council's consideration. So these are what we have heard, what we think are good starting points, but the
Okay.
council can certainly take this in any direction they'd like.
Okay, thanks. And I think I saw Councilman Jefferson's hand, and then back to Chairman Robertson.
Yeah, I wanna thank the staff, the executive director, our legislative liaison, and our legal, our attorney, Kamala, for giving us this starting point. Because quite honestly, I just don't have the time. I might hear whispers in my role as clerk of the Senate from the senators, and some are kind enough to, um, you know, make me aware of some of the things because they know my association with the Social Equity Council. And so I want to thank them, and I of course will pass that information on to staff members, particularly the executive director, and for feedback and for providing and to provide us with a starting point. So I just want to say that thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, as far as number one, through you, Mr. Chair, Shirley,
Yes, sir.
the first item I think is ambitious, but if I'm the hemp farmers, I'm not going along with it. But I say leave it there and let them peel it back. 26, fine. I don't think they're going to go for it. They might go for 25 or even 24. But I say I would recommend that we leave it there and let them peel it back. All the other items I think are rock solid, and I would recommend it to the full board. Thank you.
You're welcome. I agree with you, Councilman Jefferson, that a delay would be appropriate, given that it would seem to me just intuitively that we have hemp farmers, and I know I've made this, I've stated this in an email or two, but the hemp farmers are already growing. It would seem to be easy for them to switch from at least convert from what they're growing now to cannabis, easier than getting started, from a standing start, which is what our social equity applicants are doing. And to give our social equity applicants an opportunity to get their businesses running, a delay, I think, would be appropriate. Any other comments on item 1? Chairman Robertson?
Thank you. Surely. So, and the reason I asked the question about the staff in terms of, again, understanding this as a starting point, but also wanting to be very clear, at least in terms of, again, the position of entertaining and engaging the hemp market. I too think that if it is a delayed starting date, it gives us an opportunity. And my vision has always been and continues to be how to protect the interests of the social equity market, to make sure that we get the money out to the community, that there aren't any shortcuts for people cutting around. And from a product standpoint, as I said, I've been clear in terms of my position. I look at hemp as a totally separate market, and that they should be innovative in terms of finding other ways as opposed to glomming on to the cannabis market. But I also understand that at some point, open to discussion and open to business. So the part of this that does appeal to me is delaying. The part that I think we need to be clear on is I don't think it's just the staff that should make that determination in terms of, yes, they brought it to us, but I think it's incumbent upon the council to really get a clear understanding of where we feel on hemp and how we'd like to move forward. And as I said, this is the starting point, that's fine, but I still want to be very clear that I see it as two separate industries. I'd like to put them off as far as possible, at least till we stand it up and get some money out to our communities. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Any other comments on, I have a couple other questions, I guess, on this first item. Any other comments from the committee members on item 1? Just for point of clarity, when we began this process, was it anticipated that the hemp farmers at some point would convert, and did they have an opportunity to apply for a cannabis license or conversion from what they're doing to cannabis, as did the dispensaries? I'm just not clear on how it started and why now they're coming into the process at this rather late date.
Well, they weren't originally included in RERACA, and I don't know if Ginny could provide more background information on that, as I wasn't working for the Social Equity Council when this bill was being drafted. But they are not included in it now, and so that's why they're asking to be added this session. So I think there were conversations last session to include them. The bill last year had an opportunity. There was a working group that was supposed to be convened to discuss this very issue, and that working group did not meet. So I think that for those reasons, that's why the hemp farmer are asking to be included now.
I see. And I mean, the last comment I have on this particular bullet point is that it does change the marketplace. I mean, I'm not sure how much it changes, but it does change the marketplace when we add other growers to it. And I think that our social equity applicants will have a tough enough time getting their businesses up and running. And at some point, particularly for those that we provide financing to, we have a vested interest in their success. And I agree with our chairman that whatever we can do to protect them, to give them an opportunity to succeed, we should do at this point. So again, to Councilman Jefferson's point, I'm not sure whether 3 years will be accepted, but certainly it's a good starting point. I think we should offer that. And if there's pushback on it, let it come from them. The next point, shall we move on to the next point then, the $3 million fee?
We could do that. I just want to add in that, the Hemp Association is proposing their changes as well, which I've shared with the council. And so those are, and I don't know if we want to discuss those after we talk about, discuss our proposed changes, but just to talk through their proposed changes as well and see if that's something that we would be agreeable to.
Would that be helpful then to incorporate those changes into this discussion as opposed to taking it sequentially? What's your feel? Should we discuss that at the current time, or wait till we go through these bullet points and then?
Yeah, let's go through our bullet points and then we can go through what they're suggesting.
Okay.
Yep.
Chairman Robertson, you had your hand raised.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one more point I also wanted to really make note of, and thank you for articulating the whole idea in terms of the market change, because what I look at it is from the business standpoint. And the other thing I would like our council members and staff to keep into consideration when I look at the market and how it's going to be driven. I know there are going to be several businesses that are not going to make it. Several of our social applicants will not survive as we build this business up, but also want to be cognizant. We also perhaps may have another round of social equity applicants. And I am not certain on how the hemp portion will impact it. And so again, just alerting caution to how we move forward and become very deliberative about what we are willing to share and give up. As I said, my number one focus and concern is for our communities that have been impacted at all costs. And as I said,
Yes.
I just want to be crystal clear that is the ultimate goal. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. And I think you expressed the sentiments of the entire council, Mr. Chair. The $3 million fee, I think if once they come on, let's assume that there will be a delay, and at the point that they enter, there's no reason, I don't think, why they should have a fee that's any less than the fee that the other entrants have to pay. I can't think of a reason why that would be. Do they have a rationale for not paying a fee other than that it's burdensome? They'd rather not pay it.
Yeah, I think it's burdensome. 3 million is a large.
I get
sum of
that.
money.
But that's the price of entry. That's the price of the ticket. I think that we could certainly accept that as from the staff as a recommendation for the full council, and the committee can propose that without unless there's an objection from any other committee member. Seems like a reasonable proposal to make. The next one, limit the number of hemp cultivators. Does that get into their own, because I know they have a statement here within their proposal for, I think it was 350,000 square foot farms and 10, what was that? I'm looking at, what was it?
Yeah, they're suggesting 3 licenses at 50,000 square feet and 10
Right.
licenses at 10,000 square feet.
10,000 square feet. The other, within their proposal, they have, there was a parenthetical statement, 3% max. What does that refer to? Max of what, the total gross space in the state? Is that what that is?
I believe that's what they were referring to, the total grow space for the hemp farmers.
So they're limiting themselves to, they're proposing a limit of 3% of the total gross space. So if we were to do the math there, would that come out to 3%? Do we know? I mean, I'm just is that what they did?
If I can jump in for a moment.
Sure, please do.
Through you, Chairman Shirley. What I think is happening here is they are proposing that the licenses be conditional for a 3-year term, meaning during that period, if the hemp farmers grow over 3% of the allowable grow space and it causes market saturation or oversupply, then the state could review that policy. That's what they're suggesting. It seems they don't think it will cause any oversupply, so they are confident enough to make that offer.
Chairman Robertson.
So my question is, who dictates what the supply is and what is the metric for oversupply? So that's just, again, basic math, basic business. How is that determined and is that written?
Right, that would, I was about to say, what determines oversaturation? I mean, a price drop by so many dollars per pound. I'm wondering what that is. I see a hand raised.
Hi, it's
who that is.
Yeah, this is Julianne Avalone. Just to give a perspective, I mean, obviously by 2026, the market will look quite different than it does today. But right now, in terms of grow space, there is about 260, again, approximately about 265,000 square feet of grow space in the adult use and medical market. So, they are proposing to add another 25, 200, I can speak. I didn't have enough coffee this morning. 250,000 square feet of grow space. So basically, if it was allowed today, they would be doubling the market.
I'm sorry, say that again.
No, that's all right. There was my coffee issue in between there. So here, what I was saying is that right now in the marketplace, so let's imagine they were going to do this today.
Okay.
We have about 265,000 square feet of grow space that's authorized currently. None of the DIA cultivators are on board yet in terms of final license. Like the market certainly will shift between now and 2026. But if it was today, and we're going to let them do this, then 265,000 square feet of grow space, and they're proposing to add licenses that would authorize up to 250,000 square feet of additional grow space. So they would basically double the size of the grow space overnight if this was authorized today. So the 3% number would be a drastic, the 3% number contemplates a lot of grow space opening between now and 2026.
Right. Councilwoman Comer, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. And thank you, Julianne, for that context. So through you, Mr. Chair, because I know I'm not a member of this committee, which is part of the reason why I sent the email that I sent. This legislation, I would imagine we can all agree, certainly has its flaws in terms of the ways in which it protects and supports social equity applicants. The way the statute is currently written already puts them behind the 8 ball, whether it is because they have to make, the universe is wide enough so that you can make $235,000 a year and be considered social equity. We know that a number of the quote unquote social equity applicants arguably were not directly impacted by the war on drugs, which is what this is supposed to be about. So now we're going to add this other layer where we're going to double the growth space, further mitigating their ability to be competitive in this business. Now, I understand fully that there are political implications here. I get that. I know when a co-chair of APROPS is pushing for a bill, everybody wants to take that into account. What I am not willing to do is to let that be the priority over protecting the interests of the social equity applicants and allowing for hemp farmers, which, by the way, hemp farmers have been around for a while. The association has been around for a while. I have never heard them talk about equity. I have never seen them launch their own independent initiative around encouraging more Black and brown people to participate in the hemp industry. It wasn't until this is now a financial implication that this has become an issue. And I am really struggling to understand why we are not focusing on, the fact that if we're really trying to mitigate the impacts of the new Jim Crow, then why are the steps that we are taking from a policy and procedure perspective not in furtherance of that goal? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Comer. I appreciate that addition to the conversation. And if I hear you correctly, I think you're saying that perhaps even a delay might not be enough of a protective measure for us to take with regard to this particular bill.
I mean, I'm not
Well,
opposed to,
Councilman,
if we were to delay it, then maybe it's a delay until 2026, at which point the Social Equity Council will assess the ecosystem of the cannabis market and see if there is a need. That I could.
For additional growth space. Councilwoman Naeem, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Councilwoman Comer.
I'm all set, thank you.
Sure thing. Councilwoman Naeem?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to wholeheartedly agree with Councilman Comer. I'm just not feeling comfortable, even with a delay, putting something out there where we're saying, okay, we'll take it. We just need time. I'm not sure what we need time for. In a couple of years, we're not necessarily going to be in a place where we think that this makes a lot of sense and protects what we're trying to do here with social equity. So I'm not in favor of supporting this with a delay. I think the whole, I don't know if it's a whole policy, but the whole, I guess, push needs to be reassessed, reevaluated, and reconsidered. And maybe we need to be stronger on bringing forward our views from the social equity perspective to the legislature.
Thank you. Councilman Jefferson?
thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Here's my thoughts on it. If I had my druthers, I wouldn't allow anyone else into the industry. If we can monopolize it, that would be great. But Councilwoman Comer mentioned the political implications involved, and that's what we're countering here, and that's the reality that we're dealing with now. If folks have some other ideas, because our staff and our legal counsel and our legislative liaison came up with a counter strategy or counter proposal to the hemp farmers' proposal, if we allow them to dictate it, it's going to come out just the way they want and based on their considerations for us. So what are we supposed to do? Because as Christina already stated, You know, these folks are moving fast. We have about 200 bills to pass in the next couple of weeks. They're moving fast. So if folks have some ideas about how we should counter it and how we should lobby against it, I love to hear it and love to recommend it to the full council. But if we have no ideas and if we just want to talk about not agreeing with the hemp farmers and not allowing them into this industry and blocking them and doing, let's put it out there on the table. Tell me what you got, what you have to offer, so we can counter it. Because here's the thing. You do have some powerful supporters behind them, and that's my concern. Thank you.
Got it. You're welcome, Councilman, and appreciate that. I think what I heard Councilwoman Comer suggesting is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what I heard was that as opposed to a 3-year delay, that we propose that in 3 years we will reconsider the amount of growth space there is, and if at that point there is room, sufficient demand for the product, that there's room for additional cultivators, that we consider the hemp farmers at that point in time, the hemp farmer proposal at that point in time, 3 years from now. Did I hear that correct? Is that a reasonable, a fair restatement of what you're saying?
Through you, Mr. Chair, absolutely. And just to Councilman Jefferson's point, I completely understand and agree that there, you know, as I started with my remarks, there are political implications, and I'm sure that there is support there. But what I am offering, you said put something on the table. That is one of the things. I like the $3 million licensure fee. I like the idea of waiting 3 years to review what the ecosystem looks like at that time, and then making a determination about the need for an enhanced or additional sector, if you will, to join the social equity path. Thank you.
Well, I see two hands. There was, I'm sorry.
Can I just say one thing? And to be clear, the policy committee can certainly decide to continue to oppose this bill. We do not make any recommended changes and then wait until the bill is called, and if there's amendment, to react to that amendment. So I just want to put that out there right now, that the policy committee can certainly decide to choose to continue to oppose it.
Thank you. There's another hand raised, and there's no name. I don't see any initial beside that, but
I think that's Councilman Gaddis.
I'm Councilman Gaddis.
Yes, that's me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So when we did the hemp farmers bill several years ago to allow them to grow hemp and produce CBD, the understanding was that was their lane and they're going to stay in their lane. I understand that economically they may be getting battered, but listen, I'm not going to mince my words. Everyone's coming for this money. Everybody's coming for this money. Everyone smells opportunity. And if you think that people are going to sit back and let a collection of Black and brown folks control that flow of money, I think that's very naive. And I also think it's naive to think that a piece of legislation that helps the hemp farmers doesn't get out of this building this session. They're going to get their bill. So to Mike Jefferson's point, I do think if we know a bill is coming, we should, to the best of our ability, control the narrative and put some things in that we like and get some things out of there that we think are detrimental, because a hemp bill will get out of this building. I had a private conversation with Jason Rojas the other day that I won't get into now, but I've been really trying to fight this battle internally. With that said, because I'm not going to say anything during a council meeting, I will not vote to support any recommendations that makes it remotely look like we are even in favor of this bill. I think is dangerous. Every single state, with the exception of New York and Massachusetts, because they're fairly young, is having a problem with oversaturation. There is a board. It's like an exchange place where you could look at prices for pounds, ounces, half ounces, eighths. I look at it every day. All across the United States, the money, the cost for a pound of marijuana is going down significantly. And in the case of California, there's a court case now where a major multi-state operator got caught shipping cannabis across state borders, which is illegal in California, and the United States doesn't like that. And so all this cannabis is just flooding everywhere. It's very fluid now. And I do think, I think we may already slightly have a saturation issue, if you want to be honest. We're a very small state. And I don't know if we have the marketplace to sustain hemp farmers, adult use recreational marijuana producers and cultivators. And remember, you could grow at home now, 3 small plants and 3 little plants. And once people learn how to grow cannabis in their homes, which is very easy, by the way, you're going to have another problem. So I just want to tell you good folks that I am opposed to this. I understand what my good brother Michael Jefferson is saying. He's absolutely right. But I align my remarks with Councilwoman Comer and Councilman Robertson. I think it's just bad policy, and we should be advocating for no policy. So that's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the indulgence. We're in session. I got to hop off, but it's good to see you good people.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Councilman Gaddis. Appreciate that input.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I got to tell you this. House Bill 6699, I haven't seen it in the emails. It's 128 pages long, and it just hit my computer today. I don't know if we analyzed it, but it's a 128-page cannabis bill, and I didn't see anything in the emails about that. It's an amendment that became the bill. It's 6699. It's very, very chunky, just deals with cannabis. We need to make sure that they didn't put anything crazy in that bill. All right?
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
All right, bye, everyone.
All right,
Take
thank you,
care.
Councilman Gaddis.
Councilwoman Comer.
Yes, thank you. And I can't thank Councilman Gaddis because he's now gone. That said, because this is essentially a numbers game, and as he so aptly stated, oversaturation continues to be an issue in this market across the country. If we were to reply with specific numbers, right? Maybe as part of that review on October 1st, 2026, right? Maybe if there is less than 400,000 square feet of gross space by October 1st, 2026, then Department of Consumer Protection could take applications from hemp farmers. I don't know. I think it just gives us some time to really assess the market and not provide a compromise that further hinders our social equity applicants. So it's just a suggestion through you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. And I have a comment, but I want to recognize Councilwoman Naeem first. Councilwoman Naeem, you have your hand up.
Apologies, did not mean to have my hand up.
Okay. Chairman Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, I completely am aligned with Councilwoman Comer, Councilman Gaddis, and with respect to Councilman Jefferson, I totally agree in terms of the political part of it, but I feel our role is to balance both of those things. And in terms of, in addition to this, I think as we look at different people coming, as Councilman Gaddis said, through every different angle, this is a business. And, aside from my focus on making sure this money is back to those that were impacted by the war on drugs, our community, I think the other part of it that I look at and I really concentrate on is that and I've said this time and time again, and I don't think I'm going to get tired of hearing it, if they are truly, truly committed to supporting and promoting social equity and making sure this money goes into our community, hemp farmers, outdoor growers, medicinal, I don't care where you're coming from, the cannabis universe, if you are truly committed, then give us 30% of your net profit And I think that that is more than open to have a conversation. That's money that can go directly back to our communities that we can track. So if it's a question of managing the politics, managing the business, managing the money, as I said, at the end of the day, my other hat is Department of Economic and Community Growth. We want businesses to survive, to thrive. The last thing I want to do is create a blockage for any business across the state to thrive. But I think, again, in this case, we have to be very deliberative in terms of what our goal is and find the balance to encouraging business, encouraging our social equity applicants as new minority businesses, just to give them a start, an opportunity. And I think that that's kind of the window I'm looking at. And as I see this industry, as we get stood up, and again, we have mentioned the second round, if there is one of social applicants, to get them stood up, have a chance, and then, open up the doors, let it be the free market and let it flow from there. And if there's anyone that appreciates free market and the development and growth of business, it is me. So thank you, Council. Thank you, Chairman. Sure.
You're welcome. And I'd just like to add, I think someone has said that the hemp, there is a hemp industry, and that industry is, I presume, is thriving here. Anything that they would do in cannabis would be additive to the industry they already have, at the detriment of those who are in the cannabis industry, and in particular the social equity applicants. They will be the ones that the newest entrants, and arguably the ones with the least resources. So I think we have to be very careful in terms of how we approach this bill. I tend to agree with Councilwoman Comer. I think we could recognize them recognize the bill by saying with a delay for consideration for 3 years. And then at that point, if it's allowed, if we determine that there is a need for more growth space, then these other elements that the staff has presented would take place. $3 million, limited number of hemp growers, no EJVs, or at least if EJVs at all, one, and then of course they'd have to submit a social equity plan. But all of that would be under consideration 3 years from now, not now. I see another hand, Councilman Jefferson, and another hand, is that Christina Diamond?
That's Jenny Ray, Mr. Chair.
Jenny Ray, I'm sorry, all right. And so Jenny Ray, and then Councilman Jefferson.
I think Council Jefferson was first, and I'll let him go if he'd like to go before me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Executive Director. Listen, again, I want to thank the staff and all those involved in providing us with a starting point. And quite frankly, I think what they have offered helps to mitigate the strong possibility that the hemp farm is going to become part of this market and part of this game. Now, through you, Councilman Shirley, I don't think the recommendations as presented are going to get out of this committee. I just don't feel that that's going to happen today. So I would suggest that those who have ideas about how we can make our opposition stronger to this hemp reality, to offer that to the staff. We have another meeting of the minds with policy so that we can bring it to the full council and vote on it if we're not too late. If we're not too late. But we have to move fast. Now, folks have some other grandiose ideas about, because just because we can recommend anything, quite honestly, doesn't mean they're going to accept it. But if you want to show that we are trying to protect social equity or enhance social equity and protect these applicants, fine, let's do that. This is the only thing I see in front of us. But I'm willing to delay, if you will, until we add some more, until we strengthen our opposition. But let's do it. Let's not just talk about it. Let's do it. We've had time to see this. I've seen Christina's emails. When are we going to get to it? Let's get to it and let's make it happen, because we have to become part of this debate and we have to help shape the narrative. And we have to know that just because we're recommending it doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. Thank you.
And you all, and
Chair.
Councilman Jefferson, if you would elaborate just a bit in terms of what would, and then I'll get to Christina Diamond's raised hand, but what would be the mechanics of doing what you just proposed? How would we go about it is what I'm asking.
I would thank everyone on this call and those who were on the call and left the call, offer the staff some ideas, offer Christina some ideas. I've heard some of the ideas. We offered a delay. I think that's a and they said it time and time again. It's a starting point. We don't have to run with this. I like what they've offered because I haven't heard anything else. But I'm open to hearing some new ideas how we can protect the industry. But the reality is the hemp's going to be part of this. They're going to pass a bill, and the problem is if we delay this interaction with the powers that be, we're not going to have any say in how this bill comes out of the General Assembly. Let's get on it.
I see three hands, Christina Diamond, and then Councilwoman Comer, and then Councilwoman Naeem.
So, I just want to be clear. I think the council, we do need to continue to oppose this legislation. We're in front of the policy committee today because, as I said, things move very quickly. There's, 3.5 more weeks left of session. I think the council needs to be ready for recommendations when an amendment to this bill does come out. I, need to be able to move quickly and in real time and have recommendations ready for the legislators. And so that's why we're opening this discussion. And again, I want to make sure that I have feedback from the council on what you would consider going forward. And obviously, as soon as an amendment comes out, I would be sharing that with the council as well. But just want to get feedback from this committee on how to move forward.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Councilwoman Comer.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So again, and I've already said what I think my ideas are, so I'm not sure why I keep hearing that you're not hearing anything, but I put my ideas out there. The meeting is being recorded. The information is there. What I am curious to know is, have we seen a draft of the current statute language?
An amendment to it, or
the language, the bill, that's the current bill. Have we seen that draft? Have we seen sort of in real time what changes are being made so that we can offer proposed edits to that draft language?
I have sent it in previous updates, but I can send it again.
No, I mean, I've seen that. I'm trying to make sure, have the co-chairs of general law seen any and provide a draft language, and then sort of, is there a way for us to see in real time the evolution of the proposed language that came from the hemp farmers? Because I'm sure we are not the only ones who would like to see modifications and adjustments to that language, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that our DIA cultivators as a group may have talked to Senator Maroney or Rep. D'Agostino and said, we don't like this, we'd like to see this. So I'm trying to get a sense of the full picture, not just what we're doing, what the hemp farmers are doing, because I think that helps inform what we want our language to look like, A, and B, where we might coalition build.
Councilwoman Naeem.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo, I'm in support of the suggestions that Councilman Comer has put forward to have the staff pull together. But I agree with the overall sentiments. I recognize that there's politics at play, that it sounds like there's going to be a hemp bill that's going to go through regardless. But at the end of the day, my role here is to protect our social equity applicants, and just because something's going to move forward doesn't mean I'm going to support it. I think we stand our ground as to what we believe in. We suggest the edits on capping the timeline, capping the growth space, and see where it goes from there.
Thank you. And Director Clay.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So I'm thinking that if we are supporting the delayed start and to look at the market as it might look in later years, would we be considering, or should we be considering, another opportunity for SEAs to grow as opposed to opening up the market for the hemp farmers to grow? So we had one round cultivator for SEAs. It'll look different. People know more, people know better. Maybe we say we'll have another round of opportunities for SEAs to grow cannabis before we see what the hemp farmers might do or add to this or bring to this table.
Thank you, Director Clay. I think I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a sentiment that says we would object in the strongest manner any entrance by hemp farmers at this point in time, and that we would consider there would be at least 3 years before we would consider their entry into the business, and assuming that they do enter the business at that point in time, after our consideration, they would have to abide by the other terms that the staff has presented. 3 million fee cultivation. It's, you know, the other bullet points. That's what I'm hearing sentiment around, not only on the committee, but also from other members who are not, other members of the council who are not on the committee. And ultimately, that's who we're going to present to. Councilman Jefferson. You're on mute.
No, I have nothing further to add. I have nothing further to add. My hand was up. I'll lower my hand.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments? And correct me if I'm. I know what the staff presented, and what I think I heard is that there was general agreement, but in a stronger, perhaps a stronger opposition to the entrance of hemp farmers at this point in time. And that as a committee, we would propose a 3-year delay in the consideration of hemp farmers entering the cannabis business. Am I correct there?
You're correct, Chairman Shirley.
That's what I think. And so how would that, what would be the mechanics of presenting that? Because let's see, we have, I think we have, well, let me ask, with the members of the committee, is there a general agreement to what I've said, or is there some modification to what I've just said in terms of what we would, Chairman Robertson?
I would concur with what you've said, Chairman Shirley.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Councilwoman Comer?
Yes, thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Just a note that the next time this full council is scheduled to meet is the day before session ends. And so we may want to figure out how, if we're going to take an approach as a full council, the timing around that might not align.
So are you suggesting that this committee make a presentation at a special meeting of the full council to get their response to what we're proposing?
That would be my suggestion. Unless there is, I don't know, it doesn't sound like, and I think we may lose, if we haven't lost already, Councilwoman Naeem, who is a member of this committee. So I'm not sure that any action could be taken today. And I don't know if there's consensus to do so anyway. And would still have to go through the council, but I think there should be a special meeting if we're trying to beat that deadline.
Chairman Robertson, did you have?
No, I was just agreeing.
Okay, and I
Councilman Chairman.
thank you. I see Director Clay's hand up.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, we were waiting for the outcome of this meeting, but we have tentatively looked at having a special meeting of the council the week of the 22nd of May. So we just wanted to hear the results of this meeting.
Thank you. So I'm hearing then that the committee, Councilman Jefferson.
Yeah, well, if the staff can provide us with an update to their proposal, that would be fine. And have it emailed to all members of the council for their consideration, strengthening our opposition. I think that's the way to go. I don't think it's necessary for the policy to have another meeting. I just think
Okay.
let's just have a special meeting of the full council, and with a stronger statement in opposition to the hemp farm, and taking into consideration all that has been said at this meeting. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you, Councilman Jefferson. I agree. I think we have at least we have three members of the 4-member committee agreeing to a stronger position with regard to the delay than was recommended by the staff, along the same lines, except stronger. And then the other points coming in, if and when there's a decision to allow hemp farmers to enter the cannabis market. So I think that's what we want to present as a committee to the full council.
Thank you very much, Chairman Shirley. So staff will continue to work on this and will provide an update on our proposal to the full council. We'll share that with you in anticipation to the special meeting of the council.
Great. And will that come an email coming from you, Attorney Matravy, or from Director Clay? I just don't want to miss it when it comes.
It will most likely be from Christina.
Christina Diamond.
Christina, got it. Thank you. Forgive me, Christina. All right, I'll look for that. We'll all look for that. Any other comments? Do we need to take at this point discuss the? It doesn't seem like we need to discuss the Hemp Association's offer
No.
at this point. Okay.
No.
For the good of the order, any other issues? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
So move.
Thank you. A good meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Staff,
again,
thank you
Chairman
so
Shirley.
much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And,
Thank you.
Thank you, staff. I really appreciate the hard work you've done. This has been an excellent proposal. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
You too.
Everyone, have a
All right,
great
bye-bye.
day.
Bye-bye.